Welcome to What's the Effie?
What the Effie?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What the Effie. And today, you guys are lucky. You're always lucky when you're here, period. But I'd like to introduce you to Eric Irvine. Eric, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Effie.
I feel very, very honored and really privileged. Hi, Robin. Good to see ya. All right. So let's get right in here and get to know this man. Because those of you who don't know him, you should. I'm going to begin like I usually do. If you've seen more than one or two of my podcasts, you will know that I like to get some kind of a background. So I'd like to understand when you were little, Eric, and I'm going to say, walking to first grade, what sort of kiddo were you?
I would say I was a pretty quiet kid. I had an older brother who was always kind of showing me the ropes. And so I would just follow his lead, let him get in trouble, make sure that I didn't follow in his footsteps too much. But yeah, I would say I was just pretty quiet and just went with the flow of everything.
Did you have younger siblings also?
No, just the one older brother. He's 18 months older. So
wow.
Yeah, pretty close growing up, which now is a good thing. Back then, we had a lot of headbutting, but it was a good time.
Where did you grow up?
Los Angeles.
Okay, so you're an LA kiddo.
LA kiddo, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I'd like to take a look for a few minutes here to see just a bit about who is this? How old were you here?
That, let's see, I would imagine about 4 years old. So I was born in Los Angeles, then moved to Boston until I was 4. And then that, I think, would probably be right when we moved back from Boston.
Nice.
So, yeah,
So
spent a lot of time. Say again?
Is that California Ocean behind you?
I think so. It didn't have a marking on it. So when I found it, it would either be, like Cape Cod or something, which is, out in Boston or in Los Angeles. We spent a lot of time out in the Malibu area.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what about here? Look at that handsome young man.
Oh, yeah. When I sent that to you, I immediately regretted it.
Why?
For so many reasons.
Why?
Especially the hair, or primarily the hair. But no, I spent most of my childhood playing soccer. I think started when I was about 5, fell in love with it, ditched all other sports, and then ended up spending most of my free time playing soccer in my youth in high school and for club, and then ended up playing through college. So
you played soccer and collegiate soccer? Good.
I did, yeah.
All right. What college did you go to?
I went to Santa Clara University.
Okay.
So just south of San Francisco by about an hour in the San Jose area.
And what did you study?
I was a business major there.
A business guy. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. Well, it's kind of all there, Robin. Some of it is missing a little bit.
Yeah, the forehead is getting bigger by the day.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't detract. I'll say that. Sometimes people look funny when they're missing hair, but no, it doesn't. You don't detract.
No, mine just picks up the light in the room. So.
Oh my God. So talk to us a little bit. You went to college and you studied business. Did you practice it?
Eventually. So yeah, graduated, immediately wanted to go travel a bit. So I packed a bag and moved to Europe for about a year.
Where did you live in Europe?
I lived in Spain. So
Nice.
I lived in the south of Spain, in Granada for about 6 months. And then I moved to the northern coast in the Basque Country for 6 months.
What took you there?
I wanted to learn Spanish, and my college courses were not helping me do that. And so I had a buddy who was doing a semester abroad from Spain in college. And so he had talked about how amazing it was. And I thought, why not? So I just packed a backpack and had a ticket and sorted it out once I got there.
And did you learn Spanish?
I did, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
I don't practice it anymore, or as much as I should, but I would say after a year, I was pretty darn good.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it's great. Either a gap year or, traveling abroad is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially for Americans, because, our country is so large that we can think that that's all there is to the world.
Yeah.
And it's not. And the reputation sometimes that Americans have is that they are insular. So when they get out and they get to see other countries and taste other food and hear other languages, I think it makes everybody better.
Yeah, and I made a big effort to not really associate with any other Americans that I would run into. I really wanted to absorb the culture, make new friends, and take myself out of the comfort zone. So just being forced to speak Spanish.
Nice. Way to go. Let's come a little bit more up. I always like to ask what people were doing during COVID. What were you doing?
During COVID, I owned and operated a home care business. So
Business.
Home care, yeah. So we provided services to the elderly and disabled within the privacy of their own home. So I had a team of, at any one point, 30 to 40 nurses, nursing aides, and students.
Wow.
And we would go into private households and help people who needed assistance with activities of daily living. So that's, bathing, dressing, feeding, going to the bathroom, and ambulation assistance.
So, Eric, were you a nurse? I mean, you said you went through business. Did you approach this as a business or were you nursing? I mean, how did the two connect?
Yeah, it was as a business. I had worked in tech before, up in the Bay Area, and for large companies that I was very much just a cog in the wheel. And so I wanted something a little more hands-on. And so I had some friends who had opened up this business, and they wanted to expand. And so I went back down to Los Angeles and opened up their second office with them. And then my mother was a nurse, and my father was a physician, and my brother and his wife are, physicians as well. So there's very much that medical side of my family. And then I brought the business side of it. And I got to work alongside my mom for a few years, which was pretty fun. So.
How did you work with her?
Well, I would run, the back of the office. She would go out and do consultations and provide, her 35 plus years of nursing, when she would go and speak to families about kind of what they needed, what they were going to be looking at in the months to come, if they had a loved one who was dealing with dementia or something like that.
Was she involved with the business during COVID?
Yes, not as heavily as I was. Definitely wanted to kind of keep her away and safe. But she definitely still consulted on a regular basis. And so it was really fun to be part of that, and having, shut off from most of the world and still being able to communicate and hang out with mom was a pretty fun thing.
I'm sure it was. It must have also been very difficult, during the COVID times.
Yeah, managing a staff of people who are going into households with a clientele that is very delicate, should we say, during the time when we don't really know what's going to be happening, and the CDC is changing regulations. It seemed like every few days. So keeping people employed and then keeping families feeling good about themselves was a pretty challenging thing.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. Did you lose any clients, or were you lucky? Did you hear me, Eric?
We definitely, we were, say again?
I was just wondering if you heard me. I think you're
We're
cutting
having
out just a little.
connectivity issues.
Yeah. It might be me. It might be my internet because, this is my
No, we'll
daughter.
blame me. That's easier.
Okay. Okay. So I was just wondering if you had lost any clients or whether you were lucky and didn't lose any.
We did not lose any clients to COVID, but the unfortunate nature of that business is we do lose most of our clients.
Of course.
So.
That's the part of life that you are approaching. So
Absolutely.
are you doing that still?
No, had the business for a few years and then ended up transitioning away from that and then doing property management and staffing now.
Okay, so how did you transition out of it? It was your business, right? You were involved as an owner.
It was, yeah.
So tell me, did you just sell it outright or phase in? Phase out.
Yeah,
how does that work? Because a lot of us are learning about buying businesses. If you sold one, tell us.
Yeah. So how did that happen? While I was running that company, I was approached by a colleague of mine who I'd worked with, and she wanted some help on working on with another family. She said, can you help me write out an operations plan and staff for this family? I said, no problem. So started working on that with her. And then after about 2 weeks, she asked if I could come on full time and manage that family's property and everything that goes along with it. I said, no problem. So I did both for a while, ran my business and did this other thing. And then it just made more sense to end my home care company and then take over the new gig full time.
Wow.
So yeah,
nice.
it was great. So nice. I brought on, I basically sold off my book of clients to another office.
Gotcha. And if I understood correctly, you left that and you went to work for setting up operations for one business, or
yeah, for a family that has multiple properties, a lot of moving pieces on the day-to-day for it. So I've become a property or operations manager or estate manager, whatever.
Oh. Yeah, okay,
whatever
so it didn't have anything to do with the nursing end.
Nope, it went away from nursing and more just kind of human resources and operations.
That must have been interesting.
It was, yeah, it was quite a change. And the stories are good, and yeah, it's been a fun ride for sure.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
And are you still with it?
I am. Yeah. It takes up a lot of my time. Yeah. So it's good. It's pretty rewarding. A lot of moving pieces. It's fun. I enjoy who I work with and what we're doing.
Talk to me about when you joined Sub 2 and why. Where'd you first come in contact with PACE? And was Sub 2 the first mentorship, or was it like, some of us, well, I joined just Gator and Sub 2 first, but
yep.
Some of us have a long roster of mentorships that we've gone through before we came to PACE. Talk to me about when you saw PACE, how you came in touch with him, and what you're doing.
Yeah, so I joined in April of 23. I joined Sub 2 in April of 23. Was excuse me, I'm getting over a cold here, so apologize. And it was the first mentorship that I had joined. I found him, through one of the hundreds of ads that were thrown my way.
So it was an ad and you clicked on it?
Yeah, it was. Wow. I saw his videos and I kept watching some YouTube stuff for probably a week or two. And then, they get you to schedule a call with somebody. And I said, why not? So it was great. It was, I thought about it for a couple of days, signed up, immediately dove in. And then shortly thereafter, went to one of the masterminds, which is where you and I first crossed paths.
Right.
And then I think a month later, I probably joined Gator.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was an expensive 2 months. But
But you're gonna make it back. You're gonna make it back.
exactly. Yeah. So when I first joined, gosh, probably within the first 5 minutes of being at the mastermind, or the night before, Kevin Cho sent a text message saying, "Hey, come to this meetup that we're having." I walk into the meetup and I meet. Do you know LT?
Yes.
So LT, I'm standing there awkwardly by myself. LT walks up, introduces herself, and then she just, asks what I'm doing and who I'm working with, or just what my interests were. And within a few minutes, she goes, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you to two guys." And then at the end of the mastermind, came up, said, "Do you still want to be introduced to them?" I said, "Yeah." And so I met with Jamie Marcos and Ryan Love, and two fantastic guys who were doing some wholesaling on the East Coast out of Jacksonville, Florida, and worked with them for about 6 months. Just doing
what did you do with them?
We're doing a direct to agent outreach. So I spent most of my days or my free time calling agents and doing wholesaling with those guys out there.
Well, wait a minute now, Eric. Why wholesaling? Is that what you wanted to do? Or is it just like, the mantra when we come into subdue? You got to wholesale today, money. Go, go, go.
Basically, it was, yeah, I didn't know if I wanted to wholesale.
Marianne. She's like, wholesale here.
Yeah, I didn't know what I wanted.
But not that many people think to be a wholesaler. That's why I asked the question.
Uh-huh.
Did you think to be a wholesaler? Or is it just like, that's what these guys do? You're going to do what they do?
Yeah, my thought process was I want to learn the business. I want to join a team that is doing, however many deals a month. But as long as I'm able to see what they do from A to Z and learn a process and be able to ask questions, look over their shoulders, really understand why they're doing what they're doing, then I was going to be happy. So if that was wholesaling or if that was,
whatever.
I don't know, anything else, I just wanted to work with people who were doing something. And
how long did you work with them?
About 6 months.
Okay. Did you do some deals?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got involved in a handful of deals with them, which was great. And then actually did my first lending with those guys also.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So usually wholesalers are just passing them on. Mm-hmm. And that's what you did? You didn't keep any of them?
We didn't keep any of them. They may have kept one or two. I personally did not.
Okay.
But then they had one that they wanted to hold on to, and they needed a PML for it. And I started to kind of like trend in that direction of wanting to do lending instead of, calling agents all day long. And so I came up in conversation in one of our meetings. I said, yeah, I'm happy to be the lender on this. If we can do the same thing as we did with the wholesaling, which is you have to answer all the dumb questions that I'm going to throw at you. Like if we can walk through this together, then, game on. Like, let's do it.
Did you learn a lot?
I did. Yeah. I think everything that I've done since April of 23 has been a learning experience, but that was a really good one. And then it really kind of got me moving towards the idea of being a lender and just more on the money side instead of wholesaling.
How long did you lend that money for?
It's still out, actually. So it was a lot.
Supposed to still be out?
Yeah. Yes. Good question.
Yes, of course, because they do go late a lot of times.
Yeah. So I'd actually have to go back and look at the terms, but that was going to be out for, I think, 2 years.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It was. I apologize. It was going to be long-term. And it was very much an opportunity to learn. So I wasn't looking, and it wasn't a huge amount of money. And I wasn't looking for any, fast cash. I have my day job, so I didn't need it back immediately.
Good. And now you're on the lending side more than you are on, wholesaling, or are you buying assets? Tell us what you're doing mostly.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do everything, but there's not enough time in the day and not enough space in my head. But I am primarily right now raising capital for some projects. And then I've been a PML on a handful and a PMP on a couple deals. So.
Okay. Okay. So you're doing capital raising.
Capital raising.
Talk about that.
It's interesting. I enjoy it because it's relationship building, and it's not, or at least, the way I'm approaching it, it's relationship based. And in the same way that I have lent my money, where it's not just lending on a good deal, I want to lend with good people that I would want to break bread with and hear about their families and vacations and whatnot. I want to do the same thing for others, right? So I want to forge really, really strong relationships with people where they want to work with me, and they can trust that, whatever deal they're getting into, they know that, I'm a man of my word, and I'm going to, that I'm going to follow through with everything that I'm talking about, And so it's a long road. It's deliberate. I have tons of conversations with people on a regular basis, and not asking for money. It's just saying, hey, this is who I am. This is how I operate. This is the type of deal that I want to be involved in. If that comes up, can I give you a shout and see if you're interested? And so it's the long game.
Of course. And where do you find the people to talk to? Obviously you have to qualify them in some degree, right? They have to have money.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. I think I'm catching what you have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should go mask up or something.
I'm so hoarse from talking at the community camp.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. But talk to me a little bit about how you find those people. Who are they?
Yeah. So I talk to family and friends about what I'm doing, but not whether or not they want to be involved. I ping ideas off of friends who are in the space, who have money, who are very, very successful in their own rights. And I will send them a project, like a deck or something, and say, poke holes in this for me. Like, why don't you want to do this? Or why wouldn't you do this? And I'm not asking you for money, which is very true, but tell me what's good about this, what's bad about this. And we'll go from there. And that's really just to get feedback. But then in the future, if they're interested in what I'm working on, fantastic. But then other than that, it is mostly from the community. Like I try to go out and network at some events and talk to people, but I find it extremely useful just to kind of stay local in the sense of in the Sub2 group, in the Gator group, talking about the projects that we're working on and the vision behind them and seeing how people get interested. But I'm not, banging down too many doors or anything.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting because it's a great approach. It's the soft sell, because they're just going to get to know you. And eventually they'll say, hey, on that one, I want in. Or they're going to tell you, like what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
How many people will you pass a deal through for feedback?
For feedback before I really start presenting it, I would say 10.
Nice. One-on-one, or is it like a group Zoom?
No, one-on-one.
Nice. By the time you get 10 people's feedback, you probably have checked it out quite well. Yeah,
and it's varying. It's like varying degrees of feedback. Some of my friends are pretty short on words. So they'll tell me like, yeah, this is cool, or give a couple pointers, while others will take a red pen to it and tear it apart and let me know really what they think. But I think the more the better, because everybody is coming from a different point of view. I'm not sending one project to 10 investment bankers because they're all going to give me the same type of response. I'm going to send it to a real estate investor, and then a business owner, and then a doctor, and then trying to get it as wide as possible to get all the different points of view.
And it's good to go wide, because when you're raising capital, sometimes one one funnel is more active than others, or whatever. It's better. It's a better time for, let's say, doctors, or a better time for tax accountants, whatever. So
Exactly.
it is good not to go just to one kind
Yeah.
of person. That's for sure. So then, it have you? How many deals have you done so far? Talk to me about your growth. You and I met again at the PML in Houston mastermind.
Mhm.
And guys, it's interesting to me because Eric and I were at two events together, and you'd think, oh, well, you must be pretty, you know, good friends, or you must know each other well. It doesn't work that way always, because Eric never came up to me, and I was didn't, go up to him for some reason. And then after the PML, I was like, I got to talk to Eric, and get to know him. This has to change. And so I deliberately reached out to him. But you would think that once you've been to 2 or 3 or 4 sometimes events, that you will know someone. And sometimes, I mean, I am shocked sometimes. People say, oh, yeah, I've been to 2 or 3 with you. I was like,
Well, you're usually sitting at the cool table, and I'm not allowed there yet. So
that's not true. That's not true at all. Anyways.
Yeah, but it's true. I think we were at that mastermind, at community camp, at the one in Houston.
So that was 3.
At least 3.
Wow.
But there's so many different conversations.
We're not at the community camp this time, because I would have known.
I would have told you. I'll be there. I'll be there in September.
All right. So he's going to the September community camp. Those of you who watch this, because I have a number of people who are still working, and they catch it in the evening. Okay. If you're going to the September community camp, this is a guy you want to definitely know. Introduce yourself to Eric, find out about him, and stay close, because he's going. He's going to do all sorts of things. Oh, Tigger says she's going too. Nice. You guys are going to have a good time.
Yeah, I canceled on a conversation with Tigger last week, I think. So, but we're good friends now. Why? Something popped up for work, so I couldn't get out of it. But she was very understanding.
Okay. Yeah, Thanks, she's a good person, very good person. So, how do I go? Oh, Marianne, I'm afraid to say you need to be invited, and I don't know whether it's closed yet or not. So you might want to reach out to Sarabi and ask her, is it closed yet? Pace does give, remember he kind of goes through Zooms and he goes, I'm going to give away 5 tickets to the community camp. So there's always that. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's always an additional like 100 seats that Pace gives out to just about everything.
Oh,
this
totally.
is the last time, and then you get on a Zoom with him. He's like, well,
yeah,
we'll hand out a few more.
Yep. All right. So you owe Tigger. So Absolutely. If you're both there, take her out to dinner or something for sure.
Done.
Yeah. So talk to me about some of the deals that you have done since you've started doing lending. And, I myself am starting to do lending, and it's interesting, and capital raising is such a big thing. Talk to me about what you have done so far.
Yeah. So, I think the most recent deal that we did, I didn't actually lend on it. I just helped with the capital raising. But that's this property out in New England, in Maine. And so we're taking an old church rectory, so like the priest housing, and we're transforming it into a 10-ish bedroom short and midterm rental, which we're pretty excited about. I think we're breaking ground on the demo today.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting. I was out there recently to have a look at it and check the progress, which there wasn't much since we broke ground today, but I was able to kind of like walk through it, take a bunch of photos.
Nice.
Yeah. And so that's with some sub 2 guys also, which is fun being all in the community there. It's really going to be a sub 2 and Gator, I think entirely done project. Yeah. So we got the designers in sub 2, we got, lenders in Gator, we got the GC, the managing partner all in sub 2. So
Oh, that's
really fun.
Oh my God. So it's going to be a church, and it's going to be converted to what?
So it's not a church. It was the housing for priests and other people who worked in the church.
What do you call that? Is that a
rectory?
It is the rectory.
Yeah. So we're taking that right now. I believe there's 24 rooms in it, and we're then going to take down some walls, move some walls here and there, and it will be 10 units and a short and midterm short and midterm rental.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about it.
Should be. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah. And then also have a project back east as well in where is it? In the Poconos Mountains in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Yeah.
The Poconos are beautiful.
I've never been, but
that's a good excuse to go.
I know. Once it's all done, it's kind of hitting the last stages of renovation now. And so I was a private money partner on that. And that's with same with the other one, with the kind of sub 2 New England crew, like Justin Tumanowski and some of his team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Marianne has a few things to say. She says, I'm from Connecticut and a New England girl. Yeah, very nice. And Tigger says, great group of guys on that project. I agree. I think that Justin is a very special person. And I've said this to him a couple times. I used to live in Boston a long time ago. And I'd consider moving back there if I wasn't as old as I am, because now arthritis is setting in and stuff like that a little bit. But it's such a great place just so that I could be in his group. People can learn from him really well. And if you guys didn't hear this, let me tell you that Justin's flight got canceled to come to the community camp. So what did he do? How many people know what he did? Okay. I mean, moment by moment, we were all, is he going to make it? Is he going to make it? Drove. Oh my God. It was nutso. Just nutso.
Yeah, well, he didn't only drive from Boston area.
I know.
He drove, I think, 5 hours to try to catch a flight, and then had to find rental cars, and then ended up just.
And he told me he stole a car. And I was like, what? He said, I ended up having to take a car that was supposed to be returned, but I didn't return it. I'm like, holy crap. He had responsibilities at our mastermind. He was one of the people in charge of boats where they were taking everybody for rides, and he's not going to let, pace down in any way. And he's very, very determined. So I love that, man. I think we're, maniac with determination for sure.
Yeah, I was watching that or watching his progress and shooting off texts to he and Katie along the way, just seeing how many Red Bulls they'd had and how their 2 little girls were doing on the drive.
Absolutely. Oh, and speaking of girls, okay, so this is a little bit funny, but Pace had said to us, and so had Carolyn, and Carolyn's very forceful, that children are the responsibility of the parents. Do keep an eye on your child. Don't let your child go wild. Don't, you got to do everything you're doing. Be a parent. Okay, everybody did. But at the hoedown, Carolyn, who scares the bejeebies out of me, but anyhow, here she is, and she's got the bullhorn in one hand, and she's got this little child in the other. And I'm looking at the child, and I'm thinking, oh, I know that little girl, but I don't know from where. And she's going, is this your child? Is this your child? And people are wanting to ask questions of the child, and she's like, back away, you're going to scare a kid. And I was like, wow, she's really protective of the child. And the child was, really holding on to her. She says, the parent, who's ever this child is, and guess whose child it was?
Tumanowski's.
The moment that she realized it was Justin's, she was like, oh, okay, here's your child. But it was funny. I mean, she was going for a good 5 minutes looking for the parents. And the little one. How old is the little one? Do
5.
you know? The little one's 5.
Mhm.
That's what I said.
I mean, yeah, I think 5 and 7.
Okay, that's what I thought. She was about 5 because she wouldn't talk. And somebody said she can't talk. I was like, no, I think she can. She's just being a little scared,
Yeah.
not knowing what she's doing. But then somebody else came up to me and said, that kid is not a day over 2. And I thought, what?
2?
That's what they said. So I'll have to ask Justin myself. But
I know for a fact she's not 2.
that's what they said. And I thought, okay, being mute and sort of being down a little bit, but not that much. So anyhow, I laughed that it was Justin's because, they're great parents, but they were doing so much the whole time that it'd be easy for them to, the kid to walk away. But yeah, how is it to lend to Justin?
It's fantastic.
I saw the picture that you guys posted in Sub 2 that you were camping together, or what was that? You were fishing? I don't know. What were you doing there?
Yeah, I was in New England, and we went out to a lake one day and hanging out with him and the family, and thought it would be a relaxing day, and it was mostly business, trying to raise money, and going through a few projects. But it's fantastic. I think the first project that I got involved with him on was this Poconos project. So it's we're turning into a big rental that you would have like a family reunion or bachelorette parties, like long table dinners, can house God knows how many, 15 people or something. And he had posted about it, and I sent him a quick message and just said, hey, I'd love to chat about this with you. Got back to me within a few hours, set up a couple meetings, talked to him and the team about the opportunity, what the plan was, and everything was really, really solid. We had met in person at the mastermind, but he was one of the first guys that I talked to in Sub 2, where I saw him on a Zoom with Pace, sent him a message and said, hey, I liked what you said. I have a couple questions for you. Do you have any time to chat? And within minutes, he got back to me and said, call me immediately. So we chatted, started our friendship. And then I knew that I wanted to do some projects with him, and that the one in the Poconos, when that popped up, it was like, okay, done. Like, let's do it. It's a long-term gig,
How long-term? What's long-term for you?
It's like 5 years at the minimum.
Okay. Are you a PMP or a PML?
Partner.
Okay. Yeah. Partner is okay to go long.
Yeah.
But if it's PML, you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years. Maybe you could have made 3 times that much money. You don't know. It's not the same.
Exactly. Yeah. But I wanted to be, and I think I had the opportunity, to go PML or PMP, and I chose the partnership because I wanted to work with him, with Ted, and then really, really, see what they're doing. And it's been great. It's been a really nice working relationship. And we've done a couple more since. So
nice. Now, whose idea was it for you guys to get together, and have a relaxing business day?
That would have been mine. He knew I was heading out there. And well, I think my idea was the relaxing time, and he showed up, and there was no chance that we weren't going to talk business, which was good. But
of course. Yeah. I was just wondering because Kevin Chow had started this thing where he was flying out his lenders to Phoenix and showing them the properties and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, that's pretty smart, really letting them see what's going on. But I also thought, is that where the profit's going?
Yeah,
I'm always thinking from things, different ways. So I was like, okay, so Kevin, if I ever lend to you, I expect you to bring me. He's like, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, so it wasn't. I was out in his neck of the woods by chance, and we wanted to get together and hang out. So it definitely wasn't a Justin flying me out to the East Coast.
Got it.
Though we should, just start that now. He should be responsible for all of my flights out there.
He may just say, here, drive a car.
Exactly. Yeah. Take this U-Haul, return my stolen vehicle.
Right, right. If
And
I
you
can do
can,
it, you can do it. Oh, that is so funny. That's so
yeah.
funny. So, talk to me a little bit about what you're planning to do. Are you going to continue to grow? Like sometimes when you're a lender and you find your peeps, so to speak, that's it. You don't need to go anymore. But you're also capital raising. So, talk to me about what your plans are for the next year, 3 years, 5 years. What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, I think continuing to raise capital, not probably not going to a very wide variety of people. We talked about relationships early on, and this could all change, but I really do like working with 1, 2, 3 people who I'm really, really tight with, um,
Hmm.
and going from there. So I'd like to build on that relationship, continue to raise money for guys that I have a history of working with or want to work with in the future. And then also just kind of having a more well-rounded operation. There's I haven't spent much time doing like EMD or double closing, but when the opportunities have come my way, I've always said like, not really my thing right now. I'm focused on, PMLs and PMPs.
Hmm.
But I would like to, and I've started doing some work on that, some outreach, trying to get my systems in place. So, when those opportunities do come,
Hmm.
or if I start to chase them down a lot more, I'm able to handle those. I just want to be able to, absorb all the different things that are coming my way and be able to, take on more business.
Right. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Robin says it's a little scary to lend. And, I personally have to agree because I hadn't, I was really slow to lend. And I think that going to the PML mastermind helped a lot. She says, well, Justin seems like a good forever guy. Yes, absolutely, for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
And there are a number of people in Sub 2 that are really, really great people like that.
Yeah.
But there are 14,000 of us. And as we all know, there have been a number of people that have lost substantial money, substantial, like close to 300,000, stuff like that. And that's extremely devastating. And more than just the money. So it can be tough. And I was a chicken butt. I didn't want. I was like, who am I going to lend to? I don't know. I had done some EMDs and a few PMLs, but all 50K and under, nothing big. And it wasn't until we went to the PML mastermind that I started to change my attitude. And as I told you, I've done just did my first 6-figure lend, and I'm feeling very good about it. Talk to me about what you learned or what you thought at the PML mastermind in Houston with Chai and Prakash and
Yeah.
Abraham and Alexis.
Yeah. I thought, one, I loved it. I love hearing the different perspectives, and like there were so many different personalities in that room, and hearing where everybody was coming from and what they were working on was pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But seeing that there were just different ways to do business. So all 4 of the presenters, or there were more presenters, but the hosts, so Chai and Prakash, and then Alexis and Abraham, they run 2 very, very different operations. And both operations are, I think, wildly successful in their own rights. But that's what was so cool to see was they probably underwrite differently. They go by different metrics. Their risk tolerance is different. But it just it opened my eyes to what I can do. And I can take a little bit from, Alexis and Abraham. I can take some from Chai and Prakash.
And you can make your own.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was one of the biggest surprises for me as well. How different they were and how creative lending can be.
Yeah. The one, I mean, I shouldn't say the one, but one common denominator that they had was location. They were both very location specific. So Chai and Prakash, I don't know if it's all of Texas, but definitely Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they were it was either they wouldn't lend out of Houston or they wouldn't lend out of Texas. But just because they were so specialized in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they were so specialized in the, the laws and how to comp and everything that goes into it.
Right.
And then with Alexis and Abraham, I don't think they do anything outside of the greater Atlanta area, or
that's right,
an hour or two or whatever it is.
So, Alexis might because she's joining other lending groups that are slightly different, but she also may just be like Abraham in Atlanta or greater Atlanta. Yes, I thought that was an interesting observation also, that they really know their stuff in their own state, and particularly usury laws, and where you don't want to be called up on usury laws. That's not good at all. But also Chai and Prakash were saying that they're looking at going to North Carolina for the first time.
Okay.
Starting there also. So yeah, it doesn't seem like it's quite the same as, well, we think about whether we want to do blue states or red states, that sort of stuff, even as buying. But when it comes to lending, it seems that it's even more important.
Yeah. Yeah. That was fun to see.
How many times did Eric Fuller say, and never California, New York, or Hawaii?
He is not a fan of California.
No, or New York, or Hawaii. I thought that was so funny. But yes, you learn where you don't want to be or where you do want to be. And I think that surprised me too. There was a lot we learned there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a wealth of information. And I walked away from that, happy with, the money spent to get there and the connections made, and not happy with the humidity, but everything else was.
Please, I wanted to just die. And it wasn't very nice. I forgot that Houston's like that. Yeah. So, I'm in the same boat. And then I came home and I was like trying to figure it out. And then I felt so much more confident. Do you mind sharing a little bit what kind of, you said you have systems that you're working on setting up. What CRM are you using? What kind of systems are you playing with? Is it figured out now, or how are you doing it? Because that's something that a lot of us are always wondering about.
Yeah, I've always been a Google Sheets type of person, and setting up just conditional formatting so I know exactly who I'm talking to, when the last time I talked to them was, and doing basic functions like that. But it's been with my email, with my my cell phone, reaching out to people individually. And while it works, it also gets very cumbersome. And as I want to scale and reach a lot more people, with my lending, with raising capital, with EMDs, I looked around for a while, and then figured it was time to go with the CRM, because there's just so many automations that you can have, and not to spam people, but just kind of just check in on a regular basis, and then when an actual phone call needs to happen, it's not, there hasn't been silence for 6 months. And so I ended up going with Gage Garber. He built on the Go High Level platform.
Okay.
And so he has, that's what I'm using, High Level. And then he did something called Button Leads. And that's what Kevin uses, I believe, because they're good buddies. So he has that set up, and I'm in the process right now of just going in and making sure that all my workflows are correct, and building out my list of contacts. And
you've started it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I got Go High Level also from Mo Meenan. I forgot his last name right now. He's in our, and he did the same thing. He's similar. He put it together specifically for Sub 2, and then he also started working on the Gator end. But I haven't really got going yet because of all the moving. But I've got to do the same thing because of the fact that who are we kidding to say we're in business? Like, we are a business. If we're a business, then we need at least a CRM. We need to have a web presence. We've got to do what businesses do.
Yeah.
And I had done it all by pen,
Yeah.
So it'll cost me a while or a pretty penny to get it all converted to data, but I need to.
Yeah.
I think that's what business is.
Exactly. If you're going to take yourself, or if you want other people to take yourself seriously, then you need to do it as well, and spend the time and energy and some money if needed to do it right and set the foundation. So so you can communicate, so you can send out those deals, so you can keep track of everybody.
Exactly.
And I may have done it too soon, when I signed up a while ago. And I've just kind of like slowly onboarded myself. But I wanted to set the foundation early on and not have, a pad of paper that I had to then transfer over, or go from my Google Doc that's, 10,000 people on it and transfer it.
So, honestly, I wish I had started earlier for sure.
Yeah.
So that's good that you're doing that. That's really good. Are you planning to focus on single family, or are you going to look at land? You're going to do multifamily? Talk to me about where your money's going to go.
Yeah, I'd like to go, not necessarily land. I've never looked at it before. So right now, probably, as I start buying for myself, I'd want to go like small multifamily. And then on the investment side, would like to go into the multifamily space. So
you would?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. That's interesting. Yeah. So small multifamily, and also, yeah, that's true, Robin. That's what mine looks like. Mine aren't all over the place. They're alphabetically listed. There's sense to it, but they're like in the dark ages. It's interesting that Pace says that he's not quite at the tech level, because he also still writes by hand, but he does also put it in. He's got a lot of people working for him, and he can have it done electronically. But yeah, for sure that will help. The underwriting is so different for these different classes, whether it's land, storage, multifamily, single family. They're all co-living, you name it. They're so different. I think that you do kind of need to start with a niche.
Yeah, I agree. And there's so many things to get distracted by. And Tigger's trying to distract me right now with something.
Yes, I know. I was like, he's calling your name.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, so I think with me, it's kind of slow and steady. I don't need to jump into a ton of different things at once. It's learn as I go, and slowly build my way up. From the single family investments to the small multi to the large multi, and go from there.
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Gosh, not sure, really. I think that question, or I think the answer is going to change a lot over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
But okay. I would like to have transitioned away from my current job.
Okay. Do you own any properties now?
So before I joined Sub2, I was a part owner in one property, and I am no longer part of that. So no, I don't own any on my own, technically. Okay.
Well, you're going to need some tax write-offs.
Yeah. So the partnership that I have with in the Poconos is going to help with that. But yeah, I would like to build a portfolio on my own. But then just continue to, build a community. I really don't know what 5 years from now looks like. I think I've tried to write that out a number of times. And I have, grandiose, goals of what it would look like, and the portfolio of what it's going to be, and how much, income I'm going to be generated on a monthly basis. But the way I look at it is, I can shoot very high, which I do. I set very lofty goals. And if I miss them, I'm still going to win. I'm not saying, I want to buy one house. It's like, I want to buy 1,000 houses. Yeah. And if I miss that by a lot, then maybe I still have 100.
Right.
As long as I'm learning, as long as I'm, helping others, making good friends, serving the community, I think I'll be in a good spot.
Is that your why? Because that's a little bit odd. I mean, why did you decide you're going to get into real estate, and why do you want to, use real estate to get out on your own? What is your why? You don't have children, do you?
I don't know.
Okay, because a lot of times they're the why. They're like, why, I'm the why. And you're like, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's to be in control. I've been in situations where I'm not in control before, and I'm not kind of managing, my own destiny, for as silly as that sounds. So I wanted to learn a skill set in an industry where I can, make my own dreams happen. And so if that's, excuse me, if that's, to support kids in the future, or, to provide for, my family, parents and brother, or, friends and whoever it is, I want to be in a position where I'm able to help those that need help.
Okay, that's interesting. Also, I know we're starting to run out of time, but I wanted to touch on this. Guys, Eric has just started his Instagram account. He literally has, I don't know, 75 or thereabouts that I saw. So please be a dear, and let's get everyone in here to go and follow him. He does not have YouTube yet, and I'd like to ask you about that. What's your story with with Instagram and YouTube? Because you're a very personable guy. You're easy to talk to. You're easy to look at. Why have you not, what's going on? Why don't you have YouTube, or are you going to have YouTube? Talk to me.
Yeah. I actually do have YouTube now.
Okay.
Which has very, very riveting videos on a book review.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you need a bedtime story to fall asleep to, then chime into that.
Oh, that's hysterical.
But I've always been a private person. I like operating in the background and letting others kind of take the spotlight.
Yeah.
And I'm just a bit of an introvert, and so it always seemed silly for me to post about my life, or what I was doing, or the vacations, and I don't know. It never made sense, but I have learned that it is it's a resume now. It's a business card.
Yeah,
I don't need to tell people what I'm having for breakfast, but if I'm talking about the things that I'm working on and can add some validity to what I'm doing, then it's okay. If it's done in a tasteful way, then I'm all right with it. It's still just breaking out of that mold is has been challenging for me.
Yeah. I know. I'm there. I'm doing it, and I try not to look at myself, because when I look at myself, I'm like, oh, geez. I just Googled Eric Irvine for the YouTube, and I like Robin says, there's a lot. What is your actual name on YouTube? Could you drop it for us, or put it in either the chat or in the private chat, and let's help him, guys. Let's say when Eric was just teeny weeny, I was there. Now he's huge and he doesn't even know me. Yeah. No.
Yeah, so it's I guess it's Eric Irv, so no dot.
Eric Irv. Oh, how did you get to Irv? Why not Irvine?
I'm not sure. Oh, it was probably taken.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at Eric Irv, and I don't see it anywhere. Can you find your YouTube and drop it for us?
Yeah, of course. Sorry
to do that, because since I searched and didn't find it, I thought you didn't have it. And you know what? The Effie was taken, and it was taken. And I reached out to that person, but they had been there like a year and a half. What am I saying? A year? almost a decade ago, and they've never reached out. So I decided that I would do exactly the same name with one more underscore at the end. All right, where did you put it? Did you put it anywhere?
No.
You can put it in the actual chat, or you can put it in our private chat. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
can
gonna put it in the private. It's not letting me add to the actual chat
Oh,
for some reason. So I put it in the private.
okay, got it.
Yeah, and so I just
I like it.
yeah.
Okay, all
So
right,
I just
guys.
started doing that recently, and that was fun, I should say.
Listen, it's not easy, I think, but it gets there.
Yeah,
And like Pace said, you got to do it. Whether you like it or not, you got to do it. There's the
exactly.
link, guys. So also in the future, and now I didn't see, where is it? Hold on a second. I want to see. Oh my God, you have 2 subscribers. Don't you guys dare subscribe. Wait.
Thank you, Robin.
Now you can
Follow number 2.
subscribe because I am his number 3. Yeah. Oh, and Marianne's probably. Oh my God, we're gonna double it from 2 to 4 to 5.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna crashes YouTube. That's so awesome. And the thing is, it takes time. It really does take time. But I think that Pace has very good knowledge on this. I don't think there's a single. Well, maybe there are people who would have met him, just because they live near him. Who knows? But we just took you from 2 to now we're up to 4.
Oh.
Do I have a 5? Do I have a 5? I'm looking for a 5. Anybody there for a 5? Sorry, I'm just having fun.
Exponential growth.
Exactly.
4 subscribers. Holy cow.
Everyone counts. Listen. Oh yeah, now we're up and up to 5. We more than 100%.
You're too kind.
Hey, in the future, people are going to see this and going to say, I have to help this guy because I'm sure he's not over 10 yet. They'll go, dang, he's at 30, Oh, and Robin, good job, Robin. She's at a whopping 234. That's good. I posted in sub 2 that who is going to be my one. I was at 1.396. And I want 1.4. Who's going to be 1.4? It was kind of funny. I actually got it. I now got it. 1.405.
That's awesome.
I know. I was like, dang, all you have to do is ask and they will come, So it struck me as funny that I did go over 1.4 on that. I'm just looking to see where I'm. Yeah, I'm at still 1.405. Okay. What can I ask for? I think that's pretty awesome. If anybody is listening and they haven't subscribed, please do, because I need to get right up there. At one point, I guess I'll monetize. I don't know how many you need to monetize. It's expensive. It's expensive having a podcast. You've got to pay for. Oh, by the way, if you end up using StreamYard, could you please remember to come back to my site because you're supposed to be putting all these affiliate links. Like Pace has 1 million affiliates. I have 1, and it's just for StreamYard. But if you need StreamYard, it doesn't cost you any more to come and use, my link. It's at the bottom of my bio or wherever that is.
Absolutely. But that means I have to start a podcast.
Well, it could be. Yeah. So what are you using? Zoom to do it? How did you post when you posted on your
my videos? That's just me staring into a camera talking in this room. Yeah.
Got it. So she says, do it.
Okay.
Trust me, it would help. I mean, some people actually know who I am. I don't know.
So Tigger will be the second guest right after you, Effie.
If you do start one, I'll come and be your guest.
Would love it.
I mean, I don't know if that's worth anything, but I'd be honored.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Thank you. So there, Justin Tumanowski, I will be his first.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. There's a long list of people.
There you go. That's one of the nice things. When I realized that we hadn't actually talked, and when we did talk, I was like, I got to have this guy on my podcast. I can
Yeah,
ask, whoever I want, and it's nice. It's nice.
yeah,
And then you have people like Robin, and Robin's like, absolutely, I'll help you. And they jump in and save your tush when others don't show up.
exactly.
That anyhow.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you very, very much. I've really enjoyed it. Guys, please reach out and do follow him and learn from him. I think that we're going to see a whole lot more of him because he absolutely must get on social media. Like it or not. I mean, I just am getting used to it. That's all. I can't say I really like it. I've just gotten used to it. I love having the guests, and I like you guys in the chat because it makes me feel like someone's out there, and the funny thing is that when I was at community camp, I had a number of people who approached me who said that they follow me. And I'm like, oh, I don't see your name, because I kind of get to know the names after a while. And they're like, yeah, I don't comment, but I'm always there. I'm like, okay.
That's really cool.
It surprised me. I was like, wow, people actually regularly come. I'm surprised. and they don't put their names in, like what's with that, to at least say hi. But yep. Anyhow, so just call your name. Absolutely. Guys, thank you very much for being here with us. I shall see you next week and maybe sooner. Watch for my Facebook. I'm working on something, but I can't talk about it too much in case it doesn't come to fruition. And it'll be worth it if you're interested. So I may see you before next week, but definitely next week for sure, if not before. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks, Effie. Appreciate it.
And thank you to all of you. I'll see you next week.